So welcome to APAN59. This is the introduction to SIRTFI, the Security Incident and something framework. I'll go into that in more detail shortly. First off, I'd like everyone to introduce themselves to the room, who you are, what organisation you're with, and what your role is in that organisation. As you introduce yourself, come to the front, I'll give you the microphone, and then pick a shirt, because I've not taken these shirts home. These shirts are from a project that we ran through COVID, and I was unable to get rid of all the shirts. So if you want to come and grab a shirt, feel free, take two if you want. So if we could just start by, if you want to come up and tell us who you are and grab a shirt or two.
Good morning, my name is Sotsai Sengwong from University of Laos. Actually, I attend 30 workshops many times already. Good to see you again, Harry. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark from Taiwan, from National Yangming Jiao Tong University. Actually, this time I come for APAN because I'm a research assistant for Erica Yan, and Taiwan want to build a federation to join the EDU gang, so I'm here. So maybe later I have some question for Terry. Okay.
And we've got Paul at the back, and Dahlia here is also experts in federation space.
Okay, so nice.
These two are on the Edge Again steering committee.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, and let me thank for advance.
Okay. Small, medium, large, extra large, large, extra large, and extra large.
Hi everyone, I'm Akinori, working at NIA. NIA is a federation operator at Gakunin. Gakunin is Japanese federation. Glad to see you. Thank you.
Shirt. This is forcing them to take a shirt.
Hello, this is Takashi Naito. I'm working at NI. I'm a CSAT member of NI. So I'm interested in security.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, Dahlia, you don't need to get a shirt, Dahlia.
Yes. Hello everyone, my name is Dahlia Abraham. I work for Australian Access Federation. Nice to meet you all. Sorry.
Hey, hello. Hello everyone. My name is Katsuki Kobayashi and from Japan. So, but I think I attended the APA meeting 10 years before, but this is I come back to this community. So, but I wonder which workshop or meeting so I should attend. But my interested in identity, so that is why I joined this meeting. Thank you.
Take a shirt. Take a shirt. Take a shirt. Every player gets a shirt.
Hello everyone, my name is Tuba and I'm from Higher Education Information Pakistan. I'm working as Assistant Director Software Development over there, and I'm looking forward to gain insights about a lot of things because it's my first time attending any of the PAN meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello everyone, my name is Joyce Cynthia. I am a researcher at University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah from Malaysia, and this is also my first time joining a PAN meeting, and I hope to learn more from this.
Hi everyone, I'm Takeshi Nishimura. Sorry. From Japan. I'm working on Gakunin Identity Federation in Japan. Nice to meet you.
Hello everyone, I'm Yati and I'm from NICT and this is my very first time to join APAN, so I hope I can learn many things from this conference.
Thank you. Oh, shit. Anybody else want to go? Nope, we're all good. Okay. Your room set up. Does anyone know the APAN59 password for the network? Okay. No, all lowercase.
The first one after the rest of it.
No, just connect with lowercase.
Interesting, because
It's all good? Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay. So Security Incident Response Trust Framework for Federated Identity. So anyone have any idea, apart from Paul and Dahlia, about what this is about? It's obviously got some stuff in there. It's got security. So we're looking at security incidents and how we respond to them. And this is really around a communications protocol for dealing with, communicating with people involved in the a security incident and how to use the, how to communicate with people in a secure way. And we will just go into what that looks like in this session. I've actually got some examples that I want to run through. Has everyone got a laptop they can play with or access the internet? So we'll be doing a bit of demoing and getting you to actually try some stuff out yourselves later on in the session. So first off, we'll have a look at what REFEDS is. REFEDS is the Research and Education Federations group. It's an international community addressing the needs of existing and emerging identity federations in the education and research sector worldwide to collaborate on policy issues, and that's directly from their website. REFEDS operates under the GARNT Association umbrella and is funded by sponsors. So the AF, that's the organisation I'm with, is a member of REFEDS, and we're actually also a sponsor. So we pay some money to help keep that organisation going. It's free to join if you want to join free, but it's also, they'd appreciate some sponsorship. REFEDS has been operating for many years. The main focus is really on developing policy and training content material for federations. They don't actually develop any software, but it's really the policy side of things that they're interested in and how to get identity federations to work smoothly and efficiently and sustainably. And they've developed a lot of really good content on their site, and it's worth having a look through some of their content. A lot of their stuff is about running an identity federation. Oops.
Harry?
Yeah, what have I done wrong?
I want to say one thing.
I'll go for it.
It's not there, it's us.
Oh, us, our, sorry.
Because it's our community that runs the REFEDS together with everything else around.
Yep.
So it's not there.
Yep. Actually, one of my team, one of the AF team members is on the EduGain steering committee. That's John.
The REFEDS steering committee.
Sorry, REFEDS.
So many steering committees.
Yeah, he's on the REFEDS steering committee. So we participate that way. They have working groups. There's all sorts of stuff that they do. So us as a community really run REFEDS. Thanks for the update. So REFEDS have some critical success factors. We have some critical success factors. Sustainable standards development and process adoption. and that's one of the standards that we're talking about today, which is SIRTFI, was developed by REFEDS and is being used effectively as we speak. They also run meetings and attend meetings and community representations, and they support education stakeholders through its membership. REFEDS, one of their policies or guidelines is the REFEDS baseline expectations. It's an Identity Federation baseline list of requirements and operational behaviours of identity providers, service providers and Federation operators to meet Identity Federation baseline expectations for a common trust framework. So there's a set of standards or set of dot points, if you like, that are laid out that each of the participating members should be trying to achieve. Things like security, keeping your contact information up to date, keeping your technical specifications up to date. For identity providers, there's one set. For service providers, there's a separate set, but they're very common. There's some common themes across the both. And for Federation operators, there's another set of expectations. One that's sort of unique to Federation operators is to be providing support to their Federation members. And that's what Dahlia and I do for the Australian Access Federation. We operate the support team in the AAF, and by doing that, we are meeting one of those expectations of the baseline. It's all about building and maintaining trust across the federated space, and Federation is about trust. Trust in your technology, trust in the policies, trust in ensuring privacy, and ensuring that you're running a sustainable Federation. Federation rules, rule sets or policies are the basis on how to fulfil the baseline expectations for Federation and its members. So every Federation will generally have a set of Federation rules or policies, and those Federation rules or policies then sort of feed into the baseline expectations. If your Federation has a good set of policies and your members are complying with those policies, then your Federation is generally well on the way to meeting the baseline expectations set out by REFEDS. So, why have I been talking about the REFEDS baseline expectations? One of the baseline expectations is around security. So, it states that you apply security practices to protect user information, safeguard transaction integrity, and ensure timely response. So I've highlighted the ensure timely response. You can't really see that there, but it's been highlighted because this is what this talk's about today. It's about ensuring that you have timely incident response, and the SIRTFI framework is there to help you attain that goal of timely response and how to actually achieve that and the communication mechanisms that you should be using to achieve that. And this one applies to all three classes of members. So your Federation operators, your identity providers, which are your universities that have users that want to access the Federation, and your service providers that provide the published resources, the access to technical infrastructure, the access to data sets, and building collaborations on top of all of that stuff. So let's dive in and have a look at what ensure timely incident response really means. And to do that, we have SIRTFI. It's a Security Incident Response Trust Framework for federated identity. It aims to enable the coordination of incident responses across federated organisations. So, as I said earlier, it's about how we communicate incidents between members, between Federation operators, between us and EduGain, who sort of sits above the whole pile. And the specification is detailed here. So it's a reasonably short specification, and it's fairly easy reading, but there's a lot actually involved in complying with this actual standard. So what is SIRTFI? SIRTFI is a means to enable a coordinated response to a security incident in a federated context that does not depend on a centralised authority or governance structure to assign roles and responsibilities for doing so. So with our federation, there's no real central body that sort of sits above us and sort of dictates how we operate. We operate as a community, and as a community, we need to have a method to share information in a secure and privacy-preserving way. So SIRTFI defines a modest set of security protections for federated entities and a standard means for publishing security contact information for them. A party participates in SIRTFI by first ensuring that they implement those security protections, then coordinating with their federation operators to publish this self-attestation together with their security contact information. So a university just doesn't do SIRTFI. They need to say that they're doing SIRTFI, and they say so by indicating in their federation metadata, their identity metadata, using an entity category or a little tag in the technical description about their IDP. Similarly with service providers, there's the same tag that is applied to their metadata, and the metadata is just a technical definition of each of the participating entities. They put this little tag in there saying we attest that we are following all of the guidelines set out in SIRTFI. They also need to publish their security contact information in SIRTFI, in their metadata. So with the metadata, it's not just technical information, it's also contact information that's provided. And this metadata is shared amongst all of the participating members of the Federation. So for the operational security part, so the actual standard itself is broken into several parts. The first one is operational security, and it states that an organisation needs to be securely doing security patching on their software. And that's the first one. You need to make sure all of your software is up to date, is securely patched, and is as secure as it can possibly be. And that's reasonably easy to do, or easy to say. Sometimes it's not as easy to do because you're really dependent on your IT department to ensure that they're regularly patching their software. And some of this software is a little bit tricky to maintain and update, so that's what the Federation operator is for. It can help you ensure that your various identity provider or service provider components are at the latest version. You also have processes internally to your organisation that manage vulnerabilities and also technologies that manage vulnerabilities. So there is a number of security tools and security protocols that you can implement at your organisation to manage and deal with vulnerabilities. Scanning for software issues, ensuring you have various tools in front of your devices to scan for attacks and so forth are all part of that. Which is the next one about intrusion detection. So you'll really need to ensure that you're trying to avoid or reduce the risk of attack by introducing intrusion detection software into your stack of software. You also have to have effective identity management. So what is identity management? It's really a process of onboarding and offboarding your users into your organisation in an effective way. So when your students join your university, what are the processes that are involved with having them become a member of that university, becoming a student? What are the processes you have in place for ensuring that your staff, once they join the university, are verified and have some sort of level of identity assurance or assurance around it that they are who they say they are? And once you've done all that, adding their information into your identity system so that they're issued with a username and a password, and that password has good strength. It's also looking at do they provide multi-factor authentication with that password? So is it a two-factor authentication that the users have to have? And when the user leaves the organisation, are they effectively cleaned up and removed from your identity systems in a timely manner? It doesn't need to be immediate, but it needs to be within a timely manner within whatever your policies are that you define. Some universities allow alumni to stay connected to the university well after they've finished working or studying at the university, and that's fine, as long as the identity management system flags them as alumni rather than current staff or current students. Your contact information is well maintained and up to date, and this is a struggle that most Federation operators will have, is ensuring that the universities are continually updating the contact information that's provided to them about their technology that they've implemented into the Federation. We'll look at the different types of contacts that can be provided, but the recommendation is to not provide individuals' contact information, but group-based email addresses, so that if a person leaves, it's more likely that the person will be removed from an internal security group rather than having to go and find that the person's details need to be updated in the Federation. So it just reduces some effort. And you need to have a security incident response capability. So when a security incident happens, do you have a team that can jump on board and say, we can deal with that security incident, we will document it, we will communicate about it, we will resolve it, and deal with it in an appropriate way. So some sort of capability, a security team, a SOC, or something like that as part of your organisation to deal with security incidents. So that's the first thing that an organisation needs to be able to deal with being able to attest that they do certify. The next step is being able to deal with incident response. So you've got your security response contact information. So we've said contact information needs to be up to date. You need to be able to provide that information to the Federation and ensure that it's always accurate. And Edugain will verify this on a regular basis. I think there's a yearly mail out from Edugain to the security contacts, which has a timeline, time frame, which you need to respond to that. Otherwise, you'll get a knock at the door saying your contact is not actually working. It might be that the person's moved on, or that whatever other issue is causing a delay, and you'll be hounded by the security, the SOC at Edugain to ensure that contact information is up to date.
Only a federation level, not on entity level.
Yeah, it's really the Federation's problem to make sure the entities are right. Notify security contacts. Not sure what that's about. Be able and willing to collaborate in the management of security incidents. So if there is an incident and your organisation's part of that incident, you need to be willing to participate in resolving that incident across organisational boundaries. You need to be able to respect users' privacy, and we'll talk about that in the traffic light protocol. But you need to be able to ensure that when you're communicating with somebody outside your organisation, that user privacy is front of mind, that you're not sharing information that you should not be sharing, or if you are sharing it, you're sharing it with the people who need to know, and only the people who need to know. So that's step 2, or part 2. Part 3 is traceability, and this is about retaining logs of actual events that are occurring in your infrastructure. So every login should be recorded to know when a person's logged in and to what services that have been logged into. And you need to define a log retention time. How long do you keep those logs for? Do you keep them for a week? Do you keep them for a month? Do you keep them for years? Do you keep them forever? Now that's really up to your organisation to decide how long you want to retain your logs. I think for Australia, in the AF, we keep our logs for about 2 years. Some nations will have requirements that their governments put on them to retain logs for a certain period of time. It's up to you to determine what that retention period is. And there's also cost involved in maintaining those logs for that period of time, so that's a bit of you need to sort of weigh up all those things. Then there's the final one, I think, is the users, rules and conditions. So it's really the terms of use for using your identity provider. So at your university, When your users, your students, your staff sign up to be a member of the university, they will have signed a terms of use. Most people will just not realise that they're signing up to a terms of use, but it's about being a good citizen within your university campus, doing the right thing. Those are the sort of things that you'd find in a general terms of use. You won't abuse the system, you won't use it for the wrong reasons, you'll use it for what it's provided for, and that's for doing your study, for doing your research, for teaching, for learning, those sort of things. It's not for doing the bad stuff. So each organisation should have a terms of use for using the infrastructure, which includes going out to the Federation. You also need a process to notify all users of these rules and the conditions of use. So as I said, when your users sign up to join the university, they'll generally get, here's your induction, or here's your contract for joining the Federation or joining the university, and in there there'll be rules and processes that each user must abide by. So, what happens if an incident spreads through the Federation research and education community via a single compromised identity? So we have Mr. Bad Guy over here. He needs, all I need is one credential. And if he steals one from this IDP down here, what sort of havoc could he rain upon the universities or on the services within that Federation? Or what could he steal? Or how could he benefit from having that stolen credential? Well, there's plenty of ways this person could benefit. They could start downloading all of the content of, say, this service provider as a publisher. This publisher is providing a service. Generally, publishers make users pay to access that service. Universities generally get a subscription to access a service or a set of publisher resources. If a bad guy starts downloading the whole content of that publisher's catalogue of information and then starts selling it for his own benefit, that's not a good thing. If they start downloading from another institution all of their research information and start using it for their own national benefit, illegally, then that's also not good. If they start hacking and doing all sorts of bad things, if they start setting up a ransomware attack through that identity, that's also not good. So what we're trying to do is, one, reduce the risks that this bad guy can get a credential from an organisation, but also if he does get a credential, how do we deal with it? How do we communicate the fact that we've found this person and we need to talk back to that identity provider and get that account shut down, and to work out where that person's been and what other disasters or grief that he has done to the members of the Federation. So, how can we, or could we determine the extent of the incident? So how far has that particular user gone through the Federation? What services has he affected or attacked or stolen from or whatever? Could we ensure that an incident-related information is shared confidentially? So when an incident occurs, you don't really want, in the first instance, for that information to become public. You don't want to have the press going out and saying this university's been hacked and all sorts of bad things. You want to have that under control. You want to have it dealt with in an appropriate way, and generally in a confidential way, because there's a lot of risk to reputation that could occur, and that would be bad as well for a university if their reputation were to diminish because they let some bad person through their front door and gave them access to all sorts of stuff. Could we alert the Federation members involved in the incident? So how do we inform other people or other services or other participants in the Federation that an incident has occurred? And so they can deal with it and mitigate that incident themselves. And who would take charge of the incident investigation? So given that there's no governing body in the Federation space, who is responsible for ensuring that the incident is dealt with, investigated and resolved as quickly as possible? Lots of questions there. Let's see if we can get some answers. So it seems like common sense. A service provider is found that a person from a university has been downloading all of their content, and they're not happy with that. They identify the user because that user has been logging in and regularly downloading. They identify that the user is from a particular university. So they say, let's go and notify that identity provider or that university that we've found a bad person, a compromised account, or a bad actor trying to download all of their content. And we've actually had this occur in Australia on a number of occasions where one of our publishers has notified a university, and that university has sort of then had to work with us to work through. So the identity provider identifies several compromised accounts. They can do that fairly easily because they're in control of that infrastructure. They can work out through their logs that they've retained that this person has been logging into that service. They can identify the bad account. And that identifier can also look to see what other services that bad account has been accessing through the same logs. They'll find that username, they'll say that it's been accessing service A and service B and service C. They're not just accessing the service that has identified the initial attack. So they can go and notify those service providers that this bad actor has been accessing their services and inform them that they need to do something. That seems all fairly straightforward to do, but it's not as simple as it all looks. So the service provider notifies that inappropriate usage is coming from a federated user. So how do they know who the service, so the security contact is at that identity provider? How does the identity provider, once they've got that information, know the contacts to make at the services that have also been impacted? Service provider does not share information for fear of reputational damage. It's one issue, one of the issues that they might decide not to do something. Or the service provider shares sensitive information with no confidentiality controls. So they just sort of blurt it out. Hey, this university has been compromised, and that's going to be a reputational issue for the university affected. The IDP potentially lacks the ability to block the user or trace their usage logs, so they haven't actually got log retention occurring, or they've got no controls, no method to block users. Their identity management system isn't as up to speed as they had expected. Also, the identity provider has actually identified 3 or 4 services that the user has tried to access, but they have no security contact for that information, for those service providers. So there's no way that they can contact those services because they don't have that required contact information. So that's what it used to look like before SIRTFI came along. A bit of a mess, nobody knew who was in the game, and nobody had the tools, or obviously people do have the tools and stuff, but some organisations may not have all the appropriate tools they need to be able to effectively deal with an incident. So the solution. So the community, and that's REFEDS, us as a community, have agreed to abide by a set of guidelines or a framework. A committee or a working group, a working party has developed this common framework, which is now the SIRTFI framework. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, if you're agreeing to participate in the SIRTFI framework, this common global framework, you should be able to do a lot better than you would be able to if this thing wasn't in place. And that's the trust framework. It defines trust between all the participants within the Federation space. A defined aspect of trust already built upon and placed in our collaborative efforts, like federations and e-research infrastructure. So it's just another piece that sort of sits with our infrastructure and sits with our collaboration efforts to make this happen. Okay. So SIRTFI applies basic operational security protections to your federation entities in line with organisational policies and priorities. Patches manage vulnerabilities, detect intrusion, manage access and logging events. You need to be willing to collaborate in responding to a federated security incident and notify others when you realise that incident impacts them. So respect users' privacy and use the traffic light protocol with other security participants. And I'll talk about the traffic light protocol shortly. And to publish security contacts and self-assert a security certified tag so that others know that so others will know to trust this about you. So if you're doing SIRTFI, you're flagging that you're doing SIRTFI, you've published your security contact information, then others who will look at you and say, you're doing SIRTFI, we can have a high level of trust with your organisation, share confidential information with your organisation and work through the security incident in a coordinated way. So coordinate with your Federation operator and to publish in Federation metadata. So that's the quick review. So when a security incident happens, what do you do? First off, you conduct your own internal incident investigation using your usual procedures. So we're not implying or applying new procedures that you have to throw away your old procedures. We expect that you will run your existing procedures to identify a security incident and work through those procedures to understand what is happening. If you notice that a federated identity outside your organisation is impacted by the incident, notify them about it and begin to collaborate with them to manage the incident. So you've identified as a service provider that something's happening, you identified an identity provider who's outside your organisation's involved, you start to contact them, you start to work with them, you start to collaborate with them to work through the incident. And that might sort of fan out to other service providers and other identity providers who are also involved in this incident. When you are notified by another certified partner of your involvement in an incident that they are investigating, you respond to their request in a timely manner. So if I reach out to Paul as an identity provider saying, I'm a service and one of your users is attacking me or downloading all of my content, you've also indicated you're doing SIRTFI. Let's work together. Let's work through this incident and do it in a timely fashion. So I send out a message to Paul. What does Paul do?
I reply and say, hey, thanks. Let's just work on that.
Exactly. And you do that in a timely fashion. You don't wait a week, a couple of weeks, so it'll go away, it'll be right. It's as soon as you get the thing, you get onto it. The Edugain Security Incident Response Handbook is there, and it can be used to supplement your normal incident response procedures. So there's a lot of information in that handbook, a lot of guidance, and it will assist you working through an incident. The REFED's SIRTFI wiki space is also there, and it also provides much guidance and material that goes into much more detail than this actual presentation. So there's a lot of information that's been put together collaboratively by REFEDs on how to deal with security incidents, and I'd recommend that you spend some time having a look at these links, and these presentations will be available on the APAN site after the conference, and these links will take you to those handbooks and at Wikispace where there's a lot of content there. I might just have a quick look at the handbook. Is this going to work this time? Did that not change? We need to do, there we go. So this is the security handbook, incident response handbook. It's broken up into 2 chapters. Understanding your roles and responsibilities. So it's got stuff about the roles, the scope, responsible participants. So you got your federation participants, your federation operators, which is the AF, others that are in the room might be federation operators, and you've got the Edugain security team.
So can I say something?
Yep.
So took the Ending in Security Incident Handbook and created our own incident procedure around federated incidents. So what we did was taking this, exactly this one, more or less remove the editing step. Because that within the federation, editing step is not there. It's us as a federation operator that have to do the editing step.
Yep.
So that was the simplest way for us to be able to step out and do this.
And then did you make all of your entities aware of these guidelines and put the...
So it's in our technology profile SAML and in our assurance profiles that they must follow our incident processes.
So it's part of your federation rules,
It's part of
effectively.
the federation rules.
Yep, very good. The second chapter is around security response procedures. So what the federation participants should be doing, what the federation operator should be doing, and what the EduGain security team should be doing. So it goes on, there's roles. So let's have a look at one of the roles. The federation operators are the NDs operating the federation that are members of EduGain, as listed here. So, yep, fairly basic stuff. But it's all good to know and know in advance before you have an incident, rather than waiting to have that incident and then panicking and then diving in and trying to find what you need to know. So if we can get rid of that. And there's also the SIRTFI wiki space, which has some more guidance and information. Let's see if this is working. So this is about how to choose your certified contact, a bunch of frequently asked questions, guide for federation operators, a guide for participants, how to look up security contacts, incident response templates, and certify metadata aggregates. So there's some useful stuff there. Let's have a look at this one first. Well, it's a bit detailed. Who should I choose for my certified contact? It actually goes through a whole bit of a process to help you work out who would be the best contact for a security incident at your organisation and as your federation operator. These are not too long. They're fairly easy to digest sort of little guidelines, but all very important to sort of work through. Okay. And this is just a bit of a summary of what's in the Security Response Handbook, roles and responsibilities, adopted by the EduGain security team, recommended for all parties, respects incident response coordination roles where they are already established. Federation operators are default coordinators within their federations. So if there's an incident within your federation, contact your federation operator to get them involved. They're there to help. They'll help guide you and help you work through other participants who may also be involved in the incident. The EduGain security team coordinates across federation incidents. So if there's something in our federation that's affecting something in Paul's federation, then the EduGain security response team should be involved in that, and they will help coordinate the whole event as well. It augments but does not supersede established local policies and procedures. So it's just an additional layer on top of what you already have within your organisation. Contact information, and we'll dive into this in another set of slides shortly, but the easiest way to find contact information for an entity is to use the REFEDS Metadata Explorer tool to find security and other contact information for IDPs, service providers and federation operators. So this tool has been put up by REFEDS, and it contains every entity that's participating in a national identity federation, I think. It's not just the EduGain ones, it actually delves into the federated metadata.
Well, within dedication, yeah.
Yep. So, practice. We've got some practice here. Whoa. In 2023, the AAF participated in the In-Common Cybersecurity Cooperation Exercise by a learning by doing activity. The guys at In-Common, which is the US Federation, ran this activity we put our hand up and said we want to participate as a federation operator. It got us to think about using SIRTFI and what we actually really need to do when an incident occurs. It got us thinking about the traffic light protocol and how to use that effectively. It got us using MET to actually find the contact information. And it got us using our own AF incident response procedures. So we used our own local procedures supplemented with the SIRTFI procedures. And we also, and it was an interesting event, we just got an email from some random identifier. We didn't know when it was going to occur. We knew it was going to occur sometime between here and here, but we didn't know when. And we got an email sent to our security contact. That email had some information which was destined for us only. We looked at that information and then determined who was the next down the chain and passed that information on to them, and around it went, and eventually we worked out how to solve the incident with collaboration from other people involved in that same incident. It was a good activity, and the in-common folk run these on, I think, a yearly or bi-yearly, every year or second year. I think it's every second year because we'll be doing another one this year, I think, again later in the year. After the event, they did a post-activity review and informed us how well we did as a community. It's a collaboration to involve people, how people got involved and how we worked through the exercise. I'm actually trying to run our own cybersecurity exercise, and we'll be calling for participants at some point where we run a similar sort of exercise and work through the incident response with them. The one thing you need to do if you are going to run such a process within your own federation is to ensure that you tag things so that people know it's not a real incident, because if people start to get the message that it was a real incident occurring, then and it's actually a fake incident happening, then it might explode to something that's not really wanting to happen. So I think each of the emails had a tag saying training, training, training or something on the front so that everyone was fully aware that this was a training exercise and not a real incident. But we did get people from our board involved. We informed them, even though it was a training exercise as part of our processes, we need to inform our board, our governance about these exercises and these incidents. So that's basically SIRTFI. It's just a simple framework. It's about ensuring that you've got your house in order with regards to security. You get your house in order with regards to contacting and knowing how to contact folk, and doing it in a coordinated and collaborative way that ensures that privacy is preserved. So any questions about SIRTFI? I recommend you have a look at the document, the SIRTFI document, have a look at the REFEDS handbooks and the wiki pages for more information, and talk to your federation operator about them doing SIRTFI, because they should also be doing SIRTFI as well. And if they don't know what you're talking about, then they should come along to these sessions as well. Anything before we move on to the next part? Paul?
Don't bite everything in one bite. Get the different stages of this included. For example, start to get a security contact published in your metadata. Start thinking on how you do security responses and things like that. And when you are finished with the whole set, you can just mark your entity as certified compliant. So it's not, you can do it in a staged manner. That is the important part.
Okay. Right. Where's this? So this little section's about how to find a contact from the many organisations that live within EduGain or in global or national identity federations. So the first tool that we're going to have a quick look at is ReFed's MET, the Metadata Explorer tool. It's a tool provided by ReFeds, and it's there to help find security and other contact information for IDPs, SPs and Federation operators. Now, yesterday when I tried to access this tool, it was not working.
I know.
Is it working today? No. Okay.
It's still Sunday.
All right, of course. Okay, so it's good that we have backups. And our first backup is to use the EduGain Database Explorer. And it's an alternative to use if MET's not available. It doesn't provide access to all entities. It's only those that are participating in EduGain. Now, most federations have just plonked most of their services and IDPs into EduGain. The Australian Access Federation has been slightly different in that we actually have some hurdles that our participants need to jump to get into EduGain. It's really for them, the organisation, to sign off that they're willing to allow users' information to be passed outside of Australia. So it's about making sure they're informed before they join EduGain, rather than just throwing them into EduGain willy-nilly. It's also ensuring that they have the technology set up so it actually will work effectively with EduGain. We'll have a look at how to do that shortly. The backup to the backup, if you're really desperate and both of those systems are down, is you can go trolling through the EduGain metadata itself using grep or whatever tool of your choice you use to find stuff. You'll be searching through an XML file, so it won't be pretty, but we'll try it just to see what it looks like. So it's really a last resort to do a manual search of the EduGain metadata to find the contacts that you're looking for. It only works if your entity is connected to EduGain and the entity that you're trying to talk to is also connected to EduGain. And you will need a copy of the EduGain metadata, but if you're in EduGain, you should have a copy of that because your IDP will have previously downloaded that and it should be on your IDP or your service provider as a file that you can access and sort of search through. So let's search for an entity. Let's have a scenario. We've got a little scenario here. As a Federation operator, you received a call from one of your service providers stating that there has been some unusual activity from several universities from the Australian National University. So that's one of our major universities. They've had some major security incidents in the past, as have a lot of Australian universities. And so I've chosen them and I also have a good relationship with those guys. So let's find someone at ANU to contact to start working through the issue. So as Paul said, MET's not working. We'll just have a look at that. So if you click on the MET thing, and you'll get this blank screen for a while.
It's a firewall issue right now.
All right. So I was quite disappointed when I found that, so that's a fail. So we go to our alternate. So this is the EduGain. This is the EduGain Entities Database Explorer, and it has a whole raft of options for you to search through all of the entities in EduGain. So for this one, they want to contact, here we go, service provider's got an issue with someone from ANU, so the service provider wants to contact somebody as an identity provider, so we'll get rid of all the services and just look for identity providers. We know the Australian Access Federation is part of the Australian Access Federation, so we'll just select that one. And then we can start typing a name. Now, I don't have any idea of what the entity ID is, so I can click which one is it there? Whole entity multi-word search. So I can just start typing words in here and we can try it with. Just try Australian National and we just hit return and it will start searching for us. Come back with anything. And it's come back with a number of results. So that's not it, that's not it. That's the one we're after, the Australian National University. That's its entity ID. It's doing that. It's got some stuff here. It's part of the AAF. And we can then go and have a look at the actual details using this button over here. And we can see, here's some contact information. So we've got the technical contact, the support contact, the billing contact, and the other. So that doesn't show me a security contact, but other actually is the security contact. It's a bit not that obvious. And here, our security contact is David Howes from ANU. So that's the person I'd start to send an email to. But I'd also probably want to contact others at ANU as well. So that's the primary contact. That would be the one I'd direct the email to first off, to David, having a problem. I'd probably also CC in the technical contact folk. And this one here is Paul. And this is to let Paul know that there's a potential issue with his technology, that there's something going wrong, we need to possibly get him involved, but I'll probably just CC him initially into the conversation. And I might also consider sending something off to their service desk. So there's a ticket logged with their service desk system so that basically throwing lots of mud at the wall and hopefully some of it will stick and then bounce back at us and we'll get some sort of response. I probably wouldn't bother contacting the billing contact because that's really about the financials of the Federation and they'd probably not be interested in at initial scale. So those are the three folk I'd probably contact. Direct email to these two, to David and CC to Paul and a CC to the service desk. Now it's up to you who you really want to contact. You really need to make sure that David's in there, the security contact, but the others are optional.
And be careful. David is the only one that does security in this case, so don't send any classified information to the rest.
Yep. Okay. So that's the second option, using that tool. It's not as user-friendly or as obvious to how to search that tool as MET is, but I can't show you MET because it's broken, and hopefully will be fixed later in the day. The third method is to go and get the EdgeAgain metadata. And it's now been downloaded. Should be able to open that. Oops, it failed. Get on the other screen there. Sausage, maybe it's smaller. Just bear with me. Come on, there you go. So this is the EdgeAgain metadata. It's not a pretty document. And this is just in a tool that I've got that is a bit of an editor. So I can just do a Control F and look for and there's there's the Australian National University. It's it's an IDP that we're looking for, so that's telling me it's an IDP that we've found. And I can scroll down and eventually we'll find in amongst all this stuff somewhere, blah, 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 blah. Contact information, contact persons, contact type support. So we'll see this information's the same. We've got the service desk for support. We've got the billing guy. We've got the technical, which is Paul again. And we've got the other. This is actually showing you that it's a contact type of security, which is what we're after. And it's David Howes again. That's not the nicest way to find stuff, but it is effective. And you will find what you're looking for. But you need to have a tool that can actually search through this metadata. Much better to use MET or the EduGain Entities database. So which contacts? I've already sort of gone through this. We've got our security contact, which is the other. And as this is a potentially security issue, that should be your first port of call. You've got the technical, so they're in the loop, but as Pal said, don't send anything of confidential nature to these guys. And to support also, just to make sure they're in the loop and you get a ticket if you want them to be involved in that way. Again, no confidential information to those guys. And then to the billing guys, not really required, just ignore them. So try to find your own contact for your own organisation. So is everyone in the room in an organisation that has an identity provider? Anyone who does not? So are you guys with a university that's part of your National Identity Federation? No. Okay. I'll put a dummy one up for you, but you can try that. But if you wanted to spend a few minutes using the EduGain Entities database, which is this tool. If you can jump onto that and put in your organisation, see if you can find your organisation's identity provider. And for anyone else who can't do that, it's just and for anybody else who hasn't got an identity provider, see if you can find the contact information for the University of Melbourne in Australia. And once you've got that, stick your hand up or yell it out, whoever finds the University of Melbourne's contact information first. And once if you've found your own identity provider's contact information or security contact, just put your hand up or yell it out that you found it. And if you're having any issues, just put your hand up and I'll come around, or Dahlia will come and help you sort of work your way through this tool. Would you be your own security contact, Paul?
Sorry?
Are you your own security contact, or have you got a team,
We've got a
security team?
security team at SIRTFI.
All right. Yep.
We don't do that ourselves. Because of security issues.
Yep.
In our case, it's because we are a government agency and we are the REN, we have routines.
All right. You.
And we are ISO 27000.
Yep. All the good numbers.
All those things. So that's a very important part. And that you may say, because you need to train security
Yep.
to be able to.
So that's one of the things the in-common folk do. They actually get you using the MET tool to find stuff. And
No, it's more about training them on how to react than doing the work themselves. They can do the work they do, but how to react.
yep.
Well, this is good and bad. The good, the bad is because rarely receiving the security report, so used to it. But the good is, if there is no security incident report, well, it's good. There is no security breach.
So we have problems at universities. They were reporting every phishing attempt. There were thousands of reports in.
But for the past 1 year, you only received one.
We have some that don't. So, in the process, just kick away message.
So
Yep.
it's very interesting. Previously, this has come from the library remote access. Because previously, they are using IP-based authentication, and then usually the issue is that abnormal amount of download. So sometimes the publisher just block it. So with identification, so we can isolate the user. So suddenly they receive, oh, finally we able to just
Yep.
disable an account and for the question.
Stop someone downloading the whole content of a publisher.
So for them it's shocking, but at the same time it's good. Finally, bring fairness, justice to everyone. But the one that they hate is that, well, the publisher doesn't know. It's only come from a single IP. So the only thing that they can do is just block the IP, but it analyzes the rest of the project. So after shifting, only that.
Yeah, so these two are the category requirements if they want to do what's there in education. So they need to, yes, it's like they are releasing a set of attributes, research and education category. So in order for everything to join education, they need to meet the requirements. So they need to tick these boxes. And certify means they have a certified process what we talking about. So we have a contact. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Some countries, it's before joining, you need to tick all these boxes. But some don't. You still participate even if you don't have it. So that is just a security framework. They're saying that we have that in states. In different securities that have to have a team, we have a contact. We take all this. Oh, yeah, yeah. SIRTFI is not an compulsory thing for your universities, right, to join education. SIRTFI is not an compulsory requirement to join for your university. Yeah, because you're saying, she's from Malaysia, so she's saying, she's looking at, and she's saying they don't have a certification, I'm just saying, yeah.
Almost all
Okay, how do we go? We all find our home organisation's security contact or the University of Melbourne? We might just do the University of Melbourne again. Just copy that. Copy that. We go to this tool here. I'm just going to do this one. Okay, we're looking for an identity provider again. We know it's from the Australian Access Federation. It's got a name. Paste that in there. We want to search on whole duvas and we hit return to make that happen. And Australian National Curtain.
It's because it's an or search.
Yeah. So that's no good. We want to get rid of the university.
If you remove, so it's only Melbourne.
It's the security contact is us, because it's an rapid identity.
Sorry?
So for the.
Oh, no. That's not worked.
Press show.
Oh, sorry, show. Okay, so we found the University of Melbourne. Let's have a look at the entities. And oh dear, they're all of us. They're all supported AF. That's because we run their identity provider for them. But I have been trying to get that changed to also include the contacts from the University of Melbourne. And that needs to happen sooner than later.
Yeah, all of the rapid identity ones are.
Yeah. But I really want to have the security contacts from the actual universities in our metadata as well. So that's something we need to update and to work on.
And the support contact.
Sorry?
And the support contact.
Yep.
For end users.
Yep. So if you did find that, that's what you would have found, that support at AF and security at AF is the contacts, and that's actually coming to ourselves, but not to the actual university. So as I said, we need to change that. Okay. Let's move on. So we did that. So did you find your organisation? Did you find it? Which method? Obviously MET's not working, so you can't use that. Was the contact information correct and up to date? Well, for the University of Melbourne, it was sort of correct, but not really. So we need to go and correct that. Were the contacts personal addresses or group addresses? So personal addresses are okay, but they tend to get out of sync really quickly, particularly if somebody leaves and a new security person takes over. The Federation is the last place that they'd want to come and talk to you about updating their contact information. And which method was the easiest? Well, obviously the only method that was easiest was the Edugain Metadata Explorer. Searching through the Edugain metadata is not that easy or useful, and the other tool wasn't working, so that really limited that the answer there. So some take-home actions: ensure your Federation entities' contact information are current and up to date. Encourage them to use email addresses. Tell your members about these tools and how to use them. So a bit of publicity, a bit of training about getting folk aware of SIRTFI, getting your folk signed up for SIRTFI, and participating in the collaboration that allows for incident response to occur. So any questions on that before we move on to our next topic? Nope. So SIRTFI is all good. Everyone's going to go home and do SIRTFI, or is doing SIRTFI already. Huzzah. Okay.
I haven't lost. What we are doing in the Edugain Steering Committee is trying to get certified as requirement in the future for being an entity in Edugain.
Yep.
It will take time, but we will be there.
You're also looking at getting baseline as a...
This is part of the baseline work.
So it's a stepping stone towards getting baseline as a requirement for being an Edugain member. Cool. Well, we're also down that path as well with an AF that we want to move all of our entities to meeting the baseline requirements. And for us, because we're already doing a compliance activity and require people to do SIRTFI when they join Edugain already, we're well on the way to doing that. Okay, next we're just going to have a quick look at the traffic light protocol. I think. Okay, the traffic light protocol, TLP. Who's heard of the traffic light protocol? Good, there's 4 of us. There should be now 15 or so of us after this session. So the traffic light protocol, it's really about how to flag different types of messages and who are acceptable recipients and who that recipient can pass that message on to. There are plenty of resources available on the web from Traffic Light Protocol. I recommend you have a look at some of this stuff. Traffic Light Protocol User Guide, there's the Australian Signals Directorate Traffic Light Protocol. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube if you search for Traffic Light Protocol. There's guys there who will just take you through all of the different flavours. And your nation may have its own resources around the Traffic Light Protocol. There are 2 versions. Version 2 is the current version. Is current 2 specified in SIRTFI or not? Or is it certified? Doesn't say which one.
It should be 2.
Yep. There's only some subtle changes between 1 and 2. I think white changes to clear. It's the main one. And there's amber strict, I think, as well.
Yeah, the amber strict is.
So let's see if we've got... So let's have a look. I've been really lazy and haven't done any slides for this apart from going to the slides that somebody else has done, or the actual user guide. So we'll just sort of troll through the user guide. So this is out of the US. This is the US organisation that, who was it? Can't you see that? The Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency out of the US who's come up with this guide. It's a fairly straightforward guide, gives you lots of useful information. It's a PDF document and it's got 11 pages, so it's not that difficult to get into, to read. And it actually talks about the changes between Traffic Light 2 and the original Traffic Light Protocol. So we can make this a little bit bigger. So, Traffic Light Protocol is a system of markings that designates the extent to which recipients may share potentially sensitive information. Through the protocol, come here. So through the protocol, though the protocol has been in use for nearly 2 decades by incident coordination and response communities, the Forum of Incident Response and Security Teams first formally published the TLP version 1 in 2016, and then published version 2 in 2022. So it's been around for a while, but they finally documented what they are doing more recently. It's not a legally binding document, does not override legal restrictions or obligations, it's not a formal classification scheme, it was not designated or designed to handle licensing terms, nor information handling or encryption. It's just a labelling mechanism that defines, and their definitions that are not intended to have any effect on the freedom of information or sunshine laws, whatever they are, or any other laws or any jurisdiction. It's really the cybersecurity guys decided that this would work for them. and provides certain protections for cybersecurity threat indicators shared with federal agencies and also requires those agencies to blah, blah, blah. Lots of blah, blah, blah here. There's some changes from version 1 to version 2. TLP clear replaces TLP white. It's just a naming thing. And they've introduced this new TLP amber plus restrict. It's a supplement to the TLP amber, which we'll get into shortly. And there's an appendix, which is a revision. The user guidance TL provides a scheme for communicating information sharing permissions with TLP. The information sender takes the following steps to instruct recipients on how far they may share the information. So you determine the recipient with whom you would like to share the information and consult the TLP definition and use cases to determine the appropriate TLP markings. So what these markings are is actually you put them on the subject. You get TLP red and then your subject, TLP clear and your subject. So it's very clear when a person sees that email come through or whatever communication mechanism comes through, it's in their face right at the top of the message. Label your information with selected TLP designation. So for documents, insert the TLP label and any caveats in the header and the footer of each page. So again, it's in your face when you see this document. Write justify the label, 12-point size, and use the correct colouring coding. So there's specific colour codes that you need to use so it's clear to everybody. I think they're designed to be effective for visually impaired folk as well. So been a lot of thought put into this stuff. And designate both beginning and end of the text with each TLP label applies. Automated information exchange designed to have incorporated TLP1 should ensure that Okay, emails and chats, TLP label messages must include the TLP label of the information as well as any caveats directly prior to the information itself, so in the header or in the subject and at the top of your thing. For emails, beginning the subject line with TLP label, including the caveats. When needed, designate both the beginning and the end of text for which the TLP label applies. So if you've got some chunk of stuff that has TLP, you sort of surround that with the TLP labelling, as well as have it in your header and your subject. For verbal discussions like we're having this morning, so this is TLP clear, and I should have done that at the start of the session, I suppose. Verbal discussions, speakers may designate the information they are communicating at the TLP level, and if needed, caveats. Participants should assume information is TLP clear. Oh, I didn't need to because it's assumed. But I could have said that if the speaker does not provide any designation. So conference programs may designate TLP levels for speeches, discussions with the understanding that the lack of a designation specifies clear. Unclear means you can spread it out publicly. You can tell anybody that you've actually been to this session. And I'd encourage you to say that you've been to this session when you get back to your federations, your country. Conference programs may also designate TLP levels as the default level if the speaker does not provide a designation. So this is where it gets a bit chunky. This is the definitions. We'll skip the version 1, we'll just go to the 2. So TLP read for version 2 is for the eyes and ears of individual recipients only. No further disclosure. Sources may use TLP read when information cannot be effectively acted upon without significant risk for privacy, reputation, or operations of the organisation involved. Recipients may therefore not share TLP read information with anyone else. In the context of a meeting, for example, TLP read information is limited to those present at the meeting. So if it's read, don't discuss it with anybody else. It's just for your eyes and your ears only if you're involved in that particular discussion. TLP amber, limited disclosure. Recipients can only spread this on a needs-to-know basis with the organisation and its clients. Note that TLP Amber plus strict restricts sharing to the organisation only. Sources may use TLP Amber when information requires support to be effectively acted upon. It carries the risk of privacy, reputation or operations if shared outside of the organisations involved. Recipients may share TLP Amber with information with members of their own organisation and its clients, but only on a needs-to-know basis to protect their organisation and its clients and protect further harm. Note that if some source wants to restrict sharing to organisation, they must apply TLP Amber plus strict. So that's what that one's all about. So if I were to say this next section's TLP Amber, then you can share that with just your colleagues if you think they should need to know about that information at your organisation, but nobody else. I'm not going to do that. TLP Green, limited disclosure. Recipients can spread this within their community. Sources may use TLP Green when information is useful to increase awareness with the wider community. Recipients may share TLP Green information with peers, partner organisations within their community, but not via publicly accessible channels. So don't publish it out to the newspaper. TLP Green information may not be shared outside the community. Note when the community is not defined, assume the cyber security, cyber defence community. So if we were to have this as a TLP Green type meeting, we'd probably close the door, would share it within the community, only within this community. You could then go out and have morning tea or lunch and then share it with your colleagues because they're also part of this same APAN community. TLP Clear, recipients can spread this information to the world, no limit on disclosure. Sources may use TLP Clear when information carries minimal or no foreseeable risk or misuse in accordance with applicable rules and procedures for public release. Subject to standard copyright rules, TLP Clear information may be spread without restriction. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing TLP Clear for this meeting. So there's some definitions of what the various players are. That's the community. So community is a group who shares common goals, practices and information trust relationships. Community can be broad as the cybersecurity practitioners in a country or a sector or region. So for us, we're the identity and access management community, so that's our community. We're also the community of the APAN community, which is a wider community which includes everyone here at this meeting and anyone involved in APAN. So there's plenty of different flavours of community. Organisation, it's a group who share a common affiliation by formal membership and are bound by common policies set by the organisation. So a university would be considered an organisation. An organisation can be abroad as a member of an information sharing organisation, but rarely broader. And clients, under TLP clients, those people or entities that receive cybersecurity services from an organisation. Clients are defined, included in TLP Amber, so the recipient may share information further downstream in order for a client to take action to protect themselves. For teams with national responsibility, this definition includes stakeholders and constituents. So service providers would be clients, I would expect. Universities or IDPs would be clients of a service provider. So that's how you do that. We've got some specific colour codings, some specific colour fonts and background colours that you need to use if you're using this particular, if you're sending in different TLP things. And these have been designed to support people with low vision or struggle to read text and cannot see at all when there is too little colour contrast between the text and the background. And they've provided a bunch of use cases. So we'll just look at one use case. So I am a staff member that serves a cybersecurity function within a government agency. I can share this information with constituents, national security partners and regional governments. the Appendix B. So can I share it with constituents? With TLP clear, yes, you can share it with all of the above. With TLP green, information with the recipients who are part of the community as defined by the caveats. When community is not defined, recipients should assume that they may share TLP green information within their cyber security and defence community. Originators recipients may share TLP green information further than intended should add a caveat that defines the community for that information. So if the community isn't clear, you should also say or define what the community is for that particular communication. If you're trying to send something TLP amber information with clients, which is the context includes constituents, national security partner agencies and regional governments that have a need to know the information. And TLP amber strict is within your own organisation and has been authorised to do so by the originator. So the further down you go, or the different colours you go through, the more restrictive the message can be sent. You may not share TLP strict amber information with organisations outside your immediate agency without permission. If further sharing is desired, contact the originator and to request permission to share with other organisations. So this is just playing as a community partner. If somebody says, I don't want you to share this with anyone outside this organisation, and you need to share it with someone else, go and ask the originator if you can. Don't just do it. And in red, TLP red information, you may not share TLP red information. So it's just, you get it and that's it. You can't share it with anyone. This document provides another bunch of other scenarios. I'm a multinational conglomerate staff member. I'm a member of a critical infrastructure sector. That's probably more relevant to us. Can I share this with my peers? Oops. I'm a member of Information Sharing and Analytics Centre, formal sharing group. And on it goes. There's plenty of examples there. And right at the bottom of this document, frequently asked questions that you can sort of spend your own time having a look at that. We won't go into that in more detail. So, has everyone got a sort of basic idea of the traffic light protocol? Pretty much like you're driving your car, you can't go through the red light. If you go through a yellow light, you should do it quickly, but you shouldn't do that at all, but you can. And green light, go for it. And if there's no traffic lights, you just go for it as well. I think that's where the simile, that the traffic light protocol has come from. It's a fairly simple protocol, but you just need to make sure that your constituents, your members are aware of it. You should possibly send out regularly a message using the TLP protocol to see how folk react. Some people will have no idea what you're talking about. Have a trial at home, just send out a message to all your members, see how they react to your message. I know that Edugain send out a regular message to all of its members, Federation members. I can't recall, I think it's, what TLP it is?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't get it because
Oh, right.
get it.
Yeah, I get it. So we get once a year just to ensure that our security contacts are up to date. And it says, please verify your contacts and respond to this message to say that you've actually received it as a security contact. And I think they tagged it with some TLP colour. I think possibly green or amber. That's probably green, maybe even clear. But again, we should also, once we get a thing with a TLP tag, we should also respond using the same tag or a different tag as required. If there's somebody's requesting you for some information and you think it needs that privacy or security, it's going to be a potential risk or to the organisation. If it goes wider, then make sure you tag it with TLP red or amber as appropriate. So any questions on the TLP or the traffic light protocol?
So one thing, if you get a TLP
Okay, so that's it for the SIRTFI framework, TLP and contacts. Hopefully you've got something out of this morning's little session, and this afternoon we have Federation updates and some really interesting information from from Gakken in the Japanese Federation on what they're doing in their Federation space at 3 o'clock. So thanks for all attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of APAN while you're here, and Japan as well. And that's it.